Today we're going to talk about the trade-in. With the trade-in, every dealership in the world has some step process. Some dealerships have 12 steps or 14 steps. Here at Fletcher, we keep it simple. We have a 7-step process. But in everybody's process, there's the trade evaluation. Now, what happens on a trade evaluation? On a trade evaluation, every customer has 3 values for their trade-in. Here are the 3 values. Their sentimental value that they believe that it's worth. The booked-in value, where they got online to KBB or something like that, and they booked it out at clean, extra clean, or excellent condition, because that's what all customers do. Then after they booked it out, they have those 2 values. Now the third value is actually going to be the actual value of the car. Those are the 3 values of the car. So let's get to the real value of the car. When the customer comes in, whatever your step process is, you do the meet and greet, fact-finding and investigating needs assessment. Eventually you get to the trade-in. What you're supposed to do, but is missed 80% of the time, is the salesman walks the trade-in with the customer, does a silent walk around where you just kind of touch and rub on all the dings, dents, scratches. You should ask the customer, is your insurance going to pay for this windshield right here? Or do you want us to put a new windshield in it? The customer will answer that for you. On your written trade-in appraisals, you can write this stuff in. However, this step is skipped 80% of the time. 80% of the time, and that may be light, but 80% of the time is a statistic I've heard for years and years, and it's also what I've observed on car lots everywhere I go. This is very easy to do when you tell them about the hail damage and you remind them. When you don't remind them about the hail damage, you don't remind them about the tires, you don't remind them about the windshield, all of a sudden this online value that they've looked up is a real value. And it may not even be enough, because the perceived value they have may be even more than that. If you do your job right, you won't have to worry about this, because when it comes time to go over the appraisal, you can go over it one step at a time. Write it down. A lot of people are visual. The windshield, write it down. Windshield, it's cracked. We're going to do that. It needs all 4 tires and probably alignment, because it's wearing on one side. It has several dings and dents on the front, several dings and dents on the side, and several on the back. It has smoke on the interior. You can tell it's been smoked in. We're going to have to take the smoke out of the vehicle. It does have slight hail damage all over the hood and all over the roof of the car and on the back. That's going to be $1,000. You write it down and you put a value, a price with it. Everyone knows it's not free to replace tires. Everyone knows the windshields aren't free to replace. Everyone knows hail damage doesn't come out for free. But when you do it right and you go over the trade evaluation, you'll find yourself trading for more cars and trading for them right. When you don't do it, here's what actually happens. Salesman runs to the sales tower. He fills the trade evaluation out. He puts what year it is. It's a 2015 Ford F-150, and he writes it all down, all the equipment down on the vehicle. He's good at writing all the equipment down because he wants all the money he can get. It's a Lariat package. It's got leather. It's got a sunroof. It's got the navigation. It's got everything. Heated, cooled seats. Takes it to the manager. The manager does an appraisal. The manager gets the VIN number, and he runs a Carfax, and Carfax is clean. He may or may not drive it. Well, gosh, it's a 15 model. It's probably under warranty. If he goes out and drives it, and then he sees all of a sudden this thing has, 32,000 miles on it, and this thing does have the worn tires, it does have the dings and dents on it, it does have the hail damage, it does need a windshield. But rather than do that, oftentimes the manager doesn't even drive it. Now you go with a manager who hasn't driven it and a salesman who hasn't driven it, and you're working a negotiating deal with a customer. Customer says, this is what I printed offline. This is what my car's worth. It's in excellent condition. You don't know it's not in excellent condition. Oftentimes the manager doesn't know it's not in excellent condition. So what happens next is you give that much for the trade-in. And then what happens? You're stuck in the trade. The first time you actually really look at the trade is when you're stocking the thing in, putting a stock tag on it, driving it to your bullpen or behind your building or wherever you're driving it. And the manager first sees it when he gets a list from service. Service comes up and says, here's a service advisor. Hey, this thing needs tires. It needs an alignment. It's got hail damage from tee to toe. It needs a windshield. It's got dings and dents all over it. How much of this $3,200 do you want to fix? And the manager's like, oh, gosh, I thought this was in excellent condition. And the salesman, oh, gosh, I thought this was in excellent condition. If you'll just do that step without skipping it. We've been talking about skipping steps. You know what happens when you skip step 1. You know what happens when you skip step 2. All the way down to wherever your step is for the trade-in evaluation. If you do a poor trade-in evaluation, you're going to put too much money in trades, or you're going to miss trades. In your negotiation, what's going to happen is your customers are going to get the very best of you, and they'll end up buying yours for a very low profit margin, and you'll end up with a trade-in that you have $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 too much in. It's just not good business. It's very lazy. You got to do this right here. If you miss the steps, it costs you money, your dealership money, and everyone loses.